Although state energy company Pertamina has acquired the government's blessing to raise the price of non-subsidized liquefied petroleum gas, Pertamina opting to remain silent about the specifics of the price increase. Coordinating Minister for Economy Khairul Tanjung stated that government has acknowledged the unnecessary cost burden on Pertamina in the LPG business. Government has authorized Pertamina to make calculations on the ideal increase to a level that would not burden the Indonesian people, but would allow Pertamina to reduce its losses. Before talking more about this, let's take a look at this one.
State-owned oil and gas firm PT Pertamina is about to increase the price of 12 kilograms LPG cylinders by 1,500 rupiah each, so that it's in line with the market price. Pertamina has suffered a lot of loss of about 4.7 trillion rupiah by selling 12 kilogram LPG cylinders at a low price. Pertamina considered that they have to bear severe losses. Meanwhile, for consumers who cannot afford 12 kilogram LPG cylinders, Pertamina will provide 3 kilogram cylinders instead. Vice President of Pertamina, Ali Mundakir, stated that an increased price of LPG cylinders will create social and economic impact on the society. The government handed over the authority to Pertamina Company to set the amount of 12 kilogram LPG price increase and also the timing to increase the price. Pertamina Company suggested the price of LPG gas to rise by 1,000 to 1,500 rupiah per kilogram. And thus, the increase of LPG will be around 12,000 to 18,000 rupiah. Coordinating Minister for Economy Khairul Tanjung said the government gives freedom and authority to Pertamina to determine the amount of 12 kilograms LPG price increase. So after being postponed, government finally agreed to raise 12 kilogram LPG of 1,000 to 1,500 rupiah per kilogram. Price increase is needed to be done to avoid Pertamina losses of almost 5 trillion rupiah. According to Coordinating Minister for Economy Khairul Tanjung, price increase will be done gradually to set the equilibrium of economic prices. This is done in order to not create more burden to the society purchasing power. The amount and time of 12 kilogram LPG price increase will be announced by Pertamina after the state-owned enterprises set the price. To discuss more about 12 kilogram LPG price increase, stay with Revenews International.
To discuss more about LPG price hike, we have Mr. Achmad Wijaya, Coordinator Gas Industry from Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good morning, Sir Achmad. Good to see you again. How are you?
Always good.
Always good. Thank you for joining us this morning. So it has been suggested that the increase of the 12 kilogram LPG price of between 1,000 and 1,500 per kilogram every 6 months ideal. Do you agree?
Should not be a surprise to us, and most of the household which has been using the blue tank 12 kg has been over 30 years ago. So I think for those households, it's already been known that LPG is the consumption continuously being used. Number two, I think government should not be discussing in detail about need to be increased or not to be increased. The point is the consumption of this household has been plotted over the past 30 years with the price we even don't know. Why in a sudden within the 3-4 years back now we are keep discussing all these things. And I would say that government has to have a very good plan on this energy issue, from the electricity, from the gas, from the oil up to the LPG. Most of this industry has been discussed over the past 20 years ago. And we have now going to have a 7th president coming. So the next president has to be sit down properly in underlying all the policy. So the 12 kg LPG, we will be not surprised because we see the index price over the past few years since 2004. It started with 3,000 and keep increasing in December 2008, 4,200. Then July 2008, another increase, which is 5,250. And we see all this index up to the January 2014, it is keep increasing. So that means government has no good plan in line with what has been consumed so far in the market. Why it should be a political issue or it should be a commercial issue? Because to most of the household we have been using this one, no complaint. And we have the 3 kg which is subsidizing for most of the low-cost houses, low-cost users. And we were seeing that majority, the 3 kg has to be controlled by the government. Otherwise, the 12 kg on the stage of the price will be suffering to take more and more from the 3 kg.
The minister said that the government had authorized Pertamina to make the calculation on the ideal increase to a level that would not burden the Indonesian people, but on the other hand would allow Pertamina to reduce its losses. How to make the ideal calculation?
I think Pertamina has been purchased the LPG from Saudi Arabia, Aramco. The cost price is about 10,000. How can they keep reducing? This is a worldwide pricing, and I think Pertamina have a long-term contract with Aramco to keep supplying. And there are few things that Pertamina has to be claimed to have more efficient in terms of filling costs, in terms of transportation costs, in terms of distribution costs through to the agent. These are really a commercial issue. It's not a political issue. And I think government has to ensure that the purchase price is a deal. It's not just bond, it's a deal priced. And when Pertamina purchase all these things, Pertamina has already known that how much price has to be in line with the economical price. So I think to the user, which is now we are paying about 100,000 plus for one tank, blue tank, it's a very common commercial price. And Pertamina has to ensure that the supply is in continuously, and the political issue has to be put aside. Or otherwise, Pertamina has to be open the market for everybody to have more and more players, not only Pertamina. Why the government has to be identified only with the state-owned company doing all the LPG with a very limited player? That's another question.
So the state-controlled companies saw losses of around 2.5 trillion from the LPG business in the first 6 months of this year, and in line with the projection of the 5 trillion loss for the full year. What is your opinion on this?
The losses is already planned. So what has to be done over the past, say, 3 months down the road? Government has to make a very firm decision of increasing, because those subsidizing is continually will kill the budget of the government. Number 2, the subsidy is basically used not in the right place. Plus, we know that the households now currently, besides the increment, the whole households already know that we are paying more and more inflation already. So this price is basically in line with the actual inflation, comparable to how to do the subsidized been stopped, been posted in another post, been reducing and keep continuously discussing. I think government has to make a firm decision. Increase is increased.
Concrete
and
action.
no more subsidized is no more subsidized. That's what the firm decision has to be made, because they got a rule of government and the decree saying that the price is under a commercial, it's not under a political. So price determining under the policy of the ministry number 26/2009 stated very clearly price increases depend upon on the commercial, it's not in the political issue.
Okay, we'll continue discussing after the break. We'll be right back with more discussion. Stay tuned. Natural gas is a vital component of the world's energy supply. It plays a significant role in most sectors of the economy. While Indonesia is rich with diverse and considerable energy resources, the imbalance phenomenon between energy demand and the supply potentials are growing. On the other hand, energy consumption in Indonesia is still dominated by the energy from fossil energy, while the supply of gas energy is still limited. Before talking more about this, let's take a look at this one. While Indonesia is rich with diverse and considerable energy resources, the imbalance phenomenon between energy demand and the supply potentials are growing. Despite the fact that the country's natural gas and coal are larger than oil, the lack of energy infrastructure is still a major obstacle for the country to deliver its energy reserves in domestic market. Assessment of the need for additional energy infrastructure has been made using the model including oil refinery, gas plants, oil and gas pipelines, and electricity. Natural gas is a vital component of the world's energy supply. It plays a significant role in most sectors of the economy, such as industrial and residential. Meanwhile, government's planning on developing the city gas network through Pertagas. It is focusing on the potential target of apartment and residential. This program was considered to have a potency to be developed as an energy diversification. Business players in this field have started to be serious working on this market. On the other hand, the supply of gas energy is still limited. Up until this time, energy consumption in Indonesia is still dominated by the energy from fossil energy such as oil fuel. As much as 50% of energy consumption in the country is using oil fuel. Government admitted that they continue to boost renewable energy use and development, which is environmentally friendly. How effective will this program to support alternative energy development in the country? How prepared is government on preparing a gas supply for this? We will discuss about it on Revenews International. Welcome back. Our discussion is about LPG price hike, and we still have Mr. Achmad Wijaya, Coordinator Gas Industry from Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So, Sir Achmad, it is expected that raising the price of non-subsidized LPG would not create too much pressure on the country's inflation. Actually, how significant is the impact towards inflation?
Our actual inflation currently is recorded to be more or less 30%. Plus the government using the index of the inflation. And if we are seeing the consumption of the increment of the LPG comparable to the mobile phone usage purchase, I think inflation is already not an issue to be discussed. Because our actual inflation today is more than what we are paying. So what we are saying that the possibility of reducing all this, we must make sure that most of the spending of the secondary purchase has to be recorded as well to balance the inflation. That's what we are thinking as a normal calculation. On the other hand, I think the LPG of the 12 kg will not have a problem in terms of supply, but in line with the subsidy of 3 kg in the market will be disappear. Because what? The 3 kg now is been subsidizing with a very limited volume. And most of the trader, it might be possible to have some tricky business, will be taking more the 3 kg, re-infill into the 12 kg. It will be happen soon.
Creating another problem.
Creating another new project, a new problem. And I think government has to control this one significantly, but as this is the free market for the consumer, I don't think government should go further to control. The thing is, government has to make sure what will be the limitation of the 3 kg subsidy. Plus, the 12 kg has to be immediately launched into the new price and to ensure that the market is already acceptable. because we are seeing that the stock or inventory in the trade level, how high there will be the stock level at the moment. That has to be controlled for the beginning.
So in the middle of the economic slowdown and the political situation, when is the right time to determine the price increase?
It happened to be announced by the government today, but in a reality, I don't see the impact in the trade level yet. Because maybe it has a lot of stock inventory inside, or maybe it's keep waiting for the completion of the regulation, or maybe the 3 kg in the market is still a lot. We might not know. So these are basically a very difficult situation to ensure that the implementation of price will be there, plus the government regulation, plus the confirmation of the government. That's the most important.
Okay, talking about gas supply in Indonesia, please kindly share about the gas for industry issue that supply will be increased.
Over the past 2-3 years, I think industry has been consuming more LNG comparable to the natural gas. And the price we are paying is more or less in the turn of pricing $10. And we do not see any growth at the moment because everybody is waiting the beautiful seat of the president coming. And then the industry will be keep improving how we'll be making the growth. On the other hand, we see that most of the upstream industry is not growing like what we are expected to be 2-digit. It's very low investment. And the midstream industry is continuously not developed so much into the innovation. The growth of the consumption is more having some continuity of fighting in the market of the import product. So the downstream automatically is not balancing with those kind of improvement and growth of the industry. I think after the new president sit on this coming October, we will see the Q1 2015 that will be a slightly increased because people have a firm decision to make and to see for the future 5 years upfront.
With the new cabinet
with
and
the new cabinet,
yeah?
new president, with all the hope that we put into the new president. But one thing that the government has to ensure that what will be the actual inflation has been recorded before we came into the new president. That's the most important.
How about the gas allocation and usage for the domestic needs, including industry? How is the quota?
As of today, the quota is continuously not much increase, which is about 3,000 including PLN and the industry used. The 3,000 MMBTU currently is more or less recorded as a normal consumption. So if we are seeing a new president coming and then new investment coming and more growth has been put as a hope for the next Q1 2015, I think our projection of the gas increasing has to be about 12%, which is normally 2 times of the current GDP growth. But it's also depend upon how will be the flow of the upstream to the downstream. That's the main thing. Secondly, we see the inflation has to be reconfirmed by the new government. What will be the actual inflation that we are having at the moment? Otherwise, we are still keep using the current index of the inflation.
Okay, we still have one more segment for discussion after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with Revenews International. Welcome back. I'm still with Mr. Achmad Wijaya, Coordinator Gas Industry from Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and we are talking about the LPG price hike and gas supply in Indonesia. So, Sir Achmad, what is the most suitable regulation and policy according to the issue of the usage for domestic needs?
Number one, I think the new government sit into the new cabinet, sit into the new chairman of the country. The policy of the decree number 21 2001 has to be immediately revised. Number two, they got few policy of the Ministry Energy, which is stated number 19/2009 regarding open access, need to be retouched and seriously been monitoring by all of the government segment, which is need to be improved on the open access of supply of the gas. Number three, they got also one ministry policy, number 3/2010, regarding allocation of gas for industry. The new government has to ensure that priority has to be made for industry, not for the others, because industry has been put as of the priority number 4 instead of number 1 is drilling, number 2 PLN, number 3 is fertilizer, and number 4 total industry. So I think those 3 items of the regulation has to be immediately laid down and line up one into the others. And one more thing is, once the new president has been started and the cabinet is there, the Ministry of Coordination, next Ministry of Coordination, has to be ensured that all department in the energy, in the industry, and the trade has to be really coordinated. Because today, over the past 10 years, we do not see the coordinating ministry working properly in line with what the industry wants. So we have to be communicate to one into the other ministry instead of we have a coordinating ministry.
So far, how do you see the security of the gas supply for domestic needs in Indonesia?
Indonesia has been putting a line that the supply of gas now is more or less go into the LNG comparable to the natural gas. So we do not see any problem, especially in terms of supply. What we are worried is continuously, if the government already decided to have LNG supply, there will be a big worry on the price, because LNG will be continuously going into the index of international supply price policy. Number two, we are seeing that the Tangguh or eastern part of producing LNG need to be transported to the domestic of Java. So the transportation cost and the regas cost, if we can control efficiently and we can control within the infrastructure that we have, there will be no problem. But if there is a lot of problem which is keep continuously happening in terms of infrastructure and transportation, so the industry will be continuously dream of having a high price LNG.
Classic problem of infrastructure again.
Continuously.
So how is the current landscape of the gas sector in Indonesia? How is the performance of the gas exploitation?
Gas exploitation in Sumatra, I think now Arun is on the way this coming October. And Sumatra, we see a lot of potential of growth and infrastructure is there. Plus, in the between Sumatra and Java, there will be a next FSRU on the way. Exploration is not much. There will be utilizing more FSRU. Then number 3, we see in the middle of Java, we have Thousand Island, we have SRRU, which is also another storage of the inventory for the LNG. And we see eastern part of Java is continuously okay. So one next things that government has to ensure is within the eastern part of Indonesia, how can they transport efficiently within the infrastructure has been laid down from Sumatra to Java in line with the combination of supply and price efficiency between the production and the supply. Because the demand is continuously keep increasing. It is no point at saying that we have to reduce the consumption. The demand is there. So the industry between the Sumatra and Java will be grow significantly because the infrastructure is there. So exploration of gas in East Indonesia is continuously there, but we do not see any significant growth of exploration in Sumatra southern part of West Java, plus South Sumatra. It's born. So we do not see any new exploration. What we are seeing and predicted to be unclear is the LNG supply will keep increasing. What we are seeing that if the LNG continuously will be part of the supply chains for the industry, we have to watch out about the price. That's the most important thing.
So on the other hand, lack of investment in infrastructure and overlapping distribution system have been one of the obstacles in gas sector. To meet the ballooning energy demands, how to address these obstacles and what are other problems that hamper the effort of increasing gas utility in the nation?
Gas utilization for the small industry, I would suggest that government has to encourage the trader to make the compressed natural gas to supply to the usage of a small industry. Number two, I think PLN has to be ensured that not use more and more gas, and they have to be switching to more and more coal, and to reduce the solar as well, the diesel. If these two things government not really in line with what the growth of the usage of demand, we will never ending with the problem.
Never ending
never
problem.
Ending. And PLN is now doing efficiency of the storage by compress the gas. Is one step ahead. But on the other hand, I think most of the 10,000 megawatt coming on continuously based of the budget of the PLN has to make sure also that reducing more and more gas and has to be switching to coal.
Alternative energy development.
That's the best alternative, and I think coal is the most cheapest to be consumed as part of their cost.
All right, Sir Ahmad, thank you so much for your time sharing with us. Really appreciate your insight. Have a good day. That was Mr. Achmad Wijaya, Coordinator Gas Industry from Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, talking about LPG price hike and gas supply in Indonesia. And up next, we still have some more news and business updates. Stay with Revenews International. Thanks a lot.